It wasn't a pretty game. That was closer than it should have been considering the team they were playing against and how shorthanded they were, but the Bulls still eked out a win over the Toronto Raptors after almost blowing a 16-point lead in the fourth quarter. Now, to be fair, the Bulls are without their leading scorer, their best player in Lavine, and of course, they lost Josh Giddey in the third quarter, who was having a phenomenal game up until that point and nearly had a triple-double in just 24 minutes of play. So yes, had Zach played, had Giddey not gone down in the second half, the Bulls likely would have won this game more convincingly. But when you don't have your go-to scorer down the stretch and you don't have your floor general, who was a team high plus 12 when he was on the court, you run into a situation where the opposing team goes on a run and you start panicking and trying to generate some sort of offense. But luckily for the Bulls, they had the veteran savviness of Lonzo Ball to slow things down, set up plays, stay calm and composed, and he would ultimately help the Bulls finish this one out with some big possessions from him in the final minutes with the huge three to put the Bulls up 6 with less than 2 minutes to go, but then also recognizing the mismatches down low after the Raptors lost Jakob Poeltl in the second half due to injury. The rest of the team could not capitalize on getting Vuce the ball down in the middle, having his man sealed, and would wind up either taking an ill-advised shot or try to force it into Vuce with traffic and would then turn the ball over. But Lonzo, he doesn't panic. He knows when to feed it inside to get an easy bucket. Before I continue on with the video though, a big shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Game Time. Now, for those who have ever attended a sporting event in person, you know it's one of those unforgettable experiences. I personally love taking my kids to games to see their faces light up of all the sights, sounds, and seeing the players right in front of them, but sometimes buying tickets to a game and the experience of getting your tickets delivered to you is not the best. Ticket prices in general are insane. Are you getting a good deal? Are you not getting a good deal? How do you know that you're not being scammed? Well, you can take out the guesswork of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. When you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better, and it can be the perfect gift for others as well. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I've been scrolling through Game Time Picks for when the Bulls come to town to play the Warriors in January, and it's great because it helps me focus on the types of seats that I'm looking for, which is usually behind the Bulls bench if I can afford it. And right now, for the holiday season, Game Time is offering viewers of this channel $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code BullsCentral. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code BullsCentral for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? You know what time it is. Game Time. It's funny because Lonzo did not have a great first half. He went 0 for 5 from 3 to start out this game, was taking some questionable shots from deep to try to get his rhythm going. And I joked on Twitter how it's ironic that the day of all these rumors that they start swirling around about how the Bulls are aggressive in shopping him on the trade market, he then follows that up by having a horrible game to tank his trade value. But he really turned it around in the second half. Still didn't have the best shooting night overall, went 2 for 9, 2 for 8 from 3, but 7 assists, 6 rebounds to go along with a steal and a block. After Giddey went down, Lonzo came up and picked up the slack and running the floor and navigating the offense. I know I said this in my last postgame video. While I get why the Bulls would look to find a trade for Lonzo, since he's on an expiring contract, the Bulls are probably unlikely to re-sign him anyway. I still really don't want to trade Zoe because he's such an impactful player, a smart player that is incredibly valuable regardless of the current direction of this team. And the more his minutes start to ramp up, the more confident he looks. He's looking more and more like the old Zoe. Man is only 27 years old. It's not like this is a Klay Thompson situation who missed 2 seasons and came back when he was 31. Like, he does still have some years ahead of him as long as he can remain healthy. Like I said before, I get it why the Bulls would look to move him, but I do think he's one of these players that can be valuable regardless of a team's given timeline or direction. Crazy how much I've changed my stance on this guy when for the longest time I didn't want him in the Bulls back when he was with the Pelicans. Anyway, great game for Vucevic. Good to see him back in the lineup after being out sick the previous game. I guess my conspiracy theory turned out to not be true, thinking the Bulls already had a trade in place for him but couldn't execute upon it until the 15th, and that's why he was quote-unquote out sick. But Vuce comes back, leads the Bulls in scoring with 24 points on 10 for 17 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3. Vuce actually passed Nikola for 8th on the Bulls' all-time three-point list, if you can believe that. 24 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. I would have liked to see the Bulls get Vucevic the ball more in this one, especially after Poeltl exited the game. Like, there were ample opportunities to feed Vuce down low, and the Bulls just didn't get him the ball, and it nearly cost them the game. Instead of getting some easy buckets inside, they just kept jacking up threes. Like I mentioned, also a great game from Josh Giddey before he had to leave for the locker room after rolling his ankle. 11 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Now, at the time of this recording, we haven't received any updates on Josh's injury as far as how serious the ankle roll was and whether we can expect him to be sidelined for a period of time. However, we do know that it was that same ankle that he injured at the Olympics, which actually prevented him from doing a lot of off-season activities up until training camp. So hopefully Giddey will be okay. The Bulls cannot afford to lose another one of their main guys, although maybe it would mean more ramped up minutes from Lonzo and potentially seeing him in the starting lineup. Who knows? Coby White still struggling to shoot the ball. 3 for 7 from deep, which isn't bad, but 5 for 15 overall. He's really had a difficult time finishing around the basket, and then his little mid-range jump shot has kind of fallen off. Still managed to score 19 points as he was able to get to the line a fair amount of times, but Coby's overall shooting numbers continue to dip ever since coming back from that injury. Io, same thing, 5 for 15, 1 for 6 from 3, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Io was getting it done defensively though, which is always good to see. And then how about the Bulls bench in this game? 50 points off the bench. 3 guys off the bench in double figures. THT, who we knew was going to get his opportunity with Zach being out, didn't shoot it well from 3, but he was solid in getting to the cup and also just scoring when the Bulls really needed a basket to stop the Raptors from going on a run. Julian Phillips also had 10 points, put up 7 points in a matter of 2 minutes with some excellent cuts to the basket and throwing it down with authority off some nice feeds from Giddey. Jalen Smith, 10 points. Buzelis, 7 points. I was disappointed we only saw 13 minutes from Modest and 12 minutes from Julian Phillips for that matter when we knew Zach was going to be out for this game. Modest had that sweet move inside, handling the ball and dribbling it through his legs for the finish. 7 points, 4 rebounds, and a +7 when he was on the floor. Overall, the Bulls didn't shoot it really that well from the floor like we saw the other night against the Hornets. 46% from the field. They committed 23 fouls, but they did have 33 assists as a team, and they limited their turnovers to just 12. So again, it was not pretty at times in this game. I wouldn't call this a great win. It almost looked like the Bulls were going to pull off an epic tanking win, or loss if you want to call it that, blowing a fourth quarter lead to an already tanking team. But no, they secured the win. Back-to-back wins, I might add, and now the Bulls are only 2.5 games back behind the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, that coveted spot to avoid the play-in. You can probably expect a couple losses coming up, though. The Bulls have back-to-back games against the Boston Celtics and then follow that up by taking on the Bucks. So we'll see if Zach makes his way back to the lineup by then. We'll obviously be keeping an eye on Josh Giddey to see whether he'll be available for those games as well. Let me know what you guys thought of the game tonight. Let me know in the comments. Bulls are off until Thursday. Until then, guys, as always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.